one tip guaranteed to catch you more bass. Let's get into it. So I was going through footage from our trip to Eufaula, and I picked up on something that I was doing that I do subconsciously almost at this point, and it just got the wheels turning, and thought it might be something good to share with you guys that are guaranteed to help you catch more fish if it's not something you're already doing. This really applies to moving baits, whether we're talking crankbaits, spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, whatever. But what you need to understand with a bass is there's feed windows. So there are windows where bass are just actively feeding, and you know that could be pretty narrow, I don't know, but the rest of the time you have to trigger these fish into eating. You're going for a reaction bite. That's why, you know, you could go out and do one thing one day and catch the crap out of them, go the very next day, do the same thing, not catch a fish. You know, you may have just hit that feed window just right, and that's my opinion. Now, when it comes to triggering these bass, there's some little things that you can do to help your odds out. Crankbait's an easy one. You want to run it into stuff. Like if you're not hitting something with your crankbait, the odds of you catching something is slim to none. And the reason that is the crankbait hits a rock or wood or whatever and deflects, and it gets a sharp sudden movement, and it just triggers something in that bass's brain to eat it, and they just lash out, don't even think about it, they just do it. And that's why crankbaits are so good for a reaction bait, because if you're running it into cover, you know, burning it real fast, stopping it, you're triggering those fish. They might not even want to feed, and they're still biting it. And the one thing that I saw in that video that prompted this video is I was fishing a spinnerbait, and I caught that big fish in Eufaula, and I was just rolling that spinnerbait along, and then ever so often I'd just give it a couple twitches, and I do that all the time, and that fish ate it as soon as I twitched it. And that's doing the same thing. It's a little bit of a sudden change of movement or sudden change of direction, a different movement, and it's triggering those bass to eat. That works really well for a spinnerbait. You know, you could slow roll that spinnerbait back and you might catch some fish. But if you throw in those little twitches, you're going to catch more fish. That's I promise. Another one that I do it on is a chatterbait. If you watch me fish a chatterbait a lot, I slow roll it a lot on the bottom, and then I'll give it a quick handle turn or two quick handle turns, or maybe pop my rod, doing something like that. And almost always that bite comes on that pop, or a lot of times I'll be slow rolling it on the bottom, it'll kind of hang on a rock and I pop it free, and that's when they eat it. Same thing, you've got to trigger these fish to consistently catch them. When you trigger them like that, like I said, they're eating it without even really wanting to. It just triggers something in their brain. Like I said, crankbait, spinnerbait, chatterbait, even a jig. You know, a lot of times you slow drag that jig, throw in some big hops, some big strokes off the bottom. That'll also trigger them. Just anything like that. You want those sharp, sudden movements. And I'll tell you another one that you see me do a lot is with that Kitech. I'll be slow rolling it on the bottom, about every 5, 6, you know, reel turns, depending on the depth. I'll give it a pop up and let it fall. And I would say 90% of my bites come when I pop it up and let it fall. And it's the same deal. I think that those fish are sometimes tracking that bait, and then when it darts up, they just lash out and eat it. So try that out. I think you will be pleasantly surprised at the increase in bites. The options are limitless. I mean, you could do it even on a Ned rig. You know, that's about as finessey as it gets. You know, you're dragging it and letting it slow fall a lot. Throw in just a little pop every now and then, just a sudden movement. Sudden movement is key, or change of direction is key. So try that out, let me know how it works, and if you have any comments, throw them down in the comment section, I'll get back to you. And there will be some, the videos from Eufaula should be trickling in over the next week, week and a half. I've got some tournaments coming up on the horizon, so there should be a lot of videos coming down the pipe. I hope you're enjoying the content. We'll see you soon.